Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome into the KSL Stream Center. I am your host, Shara Park. It is Friday, February 7th, and here we are. We made it to Friday. This is fantastic. Hey, on Fridays, we like to lighten things up a little bit, and I love to bring in a guest. And of course, we want to talk to Jon Smith. Cool stuff in Utah. Jon, you know this is one of my favorite segments, and I love what you have done with the history here in Utah. And so you're back to talk about another episode of Cool Stuff in Utah. What are we talking about today?
Yeah, I think we're talking about the Tabernacle today, right? Is that the one that's the one we did? So we showed this yesterday on TV, and I got a whole lot of comments about it, which was really fun. It's a building that if you've lived in Utah or visited Utah for any length of time, you've probably seen it, and not a lot of people know the history behind it, which is really cool.
I love that. Okay, so how were you able to get access? Did you get access?
You know what the funny thing is
sensitively ask that.
So here's the backstory on this episode, because this is fun, because on the Stream Center we get to talk about some of the stories that we don't really get to. Yeah. So we had planned to film another location that day, and the permission fell through. So we were waiting, and the Tabernacle's right across the street from where we are here at the Triad Center. And so we had the camera guy, Sam and I were ready to go, so we just walked over and just started filming. It's open to the public, so...
Ask forgiveness later.
Yeah, kind of.
One of those situations.
But the funny thing is we went in and we just started telling them what we were doing. And the missionaries and all the people that run the Tabernacle, it was open and they were doing stuff. They were so accommodating. They just took us on a full tour, like showed us everything. It was really cool.
That's fantastic. Did Sam even... My understanding, she didn't even know that was the Tabernacle.
No, she went to the conference center she went to the wrong building. These kids today.
Jon, tell me, okay, before we play the story here of the Salt Lake Tabernacle, and tell folks why you started to do these segments, Cool Stuff in Utah. What was it about this idea of marrying entertainment and history in a unique way that just really gravitated towards you?
So, I mean, you can tell by my style and demeanor that I'm kind of irreverent. I'm kind of, I kind of do things my own way. And I'm also a fiend for history. I love history. And I'm a really proud Utahn. I'm really happy to be from Salt Lake and lived in Utah my entire life. So there's a lot of really cool history about the state of Utah that we don't ever hear. We hear like the same 4 pioneer stories over and over and over again. And we don't really hear about how the Tabernacle got built, or where Camp Floyd came from, or what happened out at Iosepa in the West Desert. We don't get to hear a lot of these stories. And so it was my goal to just create a series that showed these things that we see and drive past every day, and maybe share a little bit of the backstory on how they came to be.
I love it. All right, so let's take a look at Cool Stuff in Utah on this Friday with Jon Smith as we take a look at the Salt Lake Tabernacle.
That is currently being renovated. That's going to be closed until 2026. This over here is the Tabernacle.
Well, I'm glad I know where we are now.
There have been 12 U.S. presidents that have spoken here, including John F. Kennedy and FDR, Charles Lindbergh, Susan B. Anthony, even Helen Keller spoke here. So Brigham Young wanted a large tabernacle, something that could stand the test of time. So he reached out to a dude named Henry Grow. He was the same guy that designed the Haunted Old Mill. So Grow designed the roof much like you design a trestle bridge, using scaffolding from the inside. People were afraid that it was going to collapse, but after 150 years, there have been no structural issues whatsoever. In fact, in the 1930s and 1940s, there used to be painted directions to the Salt Lake Airport on the roof. I'll pull up a picture of the roof, but I'm guessing it was like airplanes go that way and angels go that way. Probably. So a lot of people don't realize that to come into the Tabernacle, you don't need a recommend, you don't need an invitation, you don't even have to be a member of the church. It's open every day, Monday through Saturday. In fact, go check it out. So to cut down on costs when they were building the Tabernacle, they used all local materials, which is mostly pine, which doesn't have this wood grain that you're seeing throughout the building. So they would go through and hand paint wood grain on all the benches and on the decor. And that's also these marble pillars. And by marble pillars, I mean they're actually made of wood. It's painted on there. In fact, the only thing they had to bring in from out of state was the glass. Also the nails, but they kind of stole those from a bunch of army camps when the U.S. Army went to go fight the Civil War. So of course, the first thing you notice when you come into the tabernacle is the pipe organ, one of the largest pipe organs in the world, more than 11,000 pipes on that bad boy. Also, one of the cool things is that there's no pillars obstructing your view in the center of the room. So, you know, kind of like the Sphere in Vegas.
No, the Sphere in Vegas.
What?
What about
Just
this?
saying.
I just...
The Salt Lake Tabernacle is internationally known for having some of the best acoustics in the world. You can hear a pin drop from 250 feet away, or you can hear Sam tear this piece of paper. Okay, now I don't have a script.
Well, you told me to rip some paper.
I'll just make it up. All right, so at first, it was thought that this should be a reserved building. So you would have to have a recommend to come in. But ever since the year, 1900, you've been able to go into the tabernacle anytime the doors are unlocked. In fact, they have live organ recitals Monday through Saturday at noon. You can go in absolutely free. My thanks to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints for letting us come in and play in the tabernacle today. If you want to know more, I don't know what I'm pointing at. I assume there's a link at some point I can post, maybe? All right. If you like it, subscribe to it and comment below on what you want to see next time on Cool Stuff in Utah. I might read it. See ya.
I love it. You might read it. You might read it.
I might.
That's hilarious. Okay, Jon Smith, so tell me, I mean, I love the twist on it. I love the history take. I love learning about who's been there, who's you know, graced us with their presence at the Salt Lake Tabernacle. What was your big takeaway? What did you love that we didn't see in that story?
The stuff that we didn't see in the story, I don't know. I think we were pretty much able to cover all of the stuff that I knew about. I did learn a couple of things that I didn't know before, like the fact that everything that they used to build it was
There you are. Let me see if I can read. Okay.
Now
there we go.
Oh, there we're back.
I just figured out how to do that. I just clicked some buttons and figured out how to reset us.
It's funny because
We're
on the
back.
camera it looks like we're in two different rooms, but I'm literally like 5 feet away from you.
Yeah, you're like right there. It's fine. You could have just joined me over here. I love it. Okay, so Jon, got to go see the tabernacle. What was your favorite thing about exploring that?
One of the cool things that I learned was, you know, we talked about how the glass was the only thing that they didn't source locally. They brought that in from out of state. And the metal materials that they used, they actually, we'll just say, repurposed from an abandoned army camp, which is at Camp Floyd. We did another episode on that. We talked about that one last week.
The Salt Lake
So they went out there and they took the nails and the stuff left over from those things, and they used those to build the tabernacle. But there wasn't quite enough. And to do the trestle structure, they didn't have enough bolts and metal brackets. So what they ended up doing was using leather straps. They would get the leather wet, wrap those around the beams, and then when it would dry, it would constrict and be super solid. They've since, reinforced that, but it sat that way for a very long time. And the leather is still up there. Like the leather straps are still on the beams and the trestles in the roof structure.
We're at the tabernacle.
Cool.
That's
I loved when you talked about who has spoken there. So I was trying to think back to my childhood.
That's the conference center.
My dad
that
actually
was built
spoke
in
at the
2009.
tabernacle.
Oh, no way.
Yeah,
Conference
when he was
center,
in the Salt
and then
Lake
you have the
City
Salt Lake
South
Temple
Mission
that is
Presidency.
currently being
Or
renovated.
Salt Lake
That's going to be
That's
closed.
so cool.
One of the mission presidencies. I don't remember.
This
He
over
spoke
here
there,
is the
but I remember
tabernacle.
going in there and just thinking, wow, the pioneers built
There have been
this.
12 U.S.
And
presidents
just
that
how
have
the
spoken here,
structure
including
itself
John
was
F. Kennedy
cool,
and
the upside
FDR.
down
Charles
boat kind
Lindbergh,
of scenario
Susan
for
B.
the
Anthony,
roof.
even Helen
But
Keller
the thing
spoke
that
here.
I never
So
realized
Brigham
until
Young
actually
wanted
your
a
story
large
was
tabernacle,
the airport
something that
arrows.
could stand
That
the
thing,
test of time.
that is
So we reached out to a dude
wild.
named
I
Henry
guess you
Groh.
didn't have
He was the same guy that
ways
designed
to
the
direct
haunted old
places
building.
back then other than landmarks.
Yeah, I mean,
Grow
there was
designed
no
the roof
radar
just like
that,
you
they
design
just
a
kind of
trestle
said, hey,
bridge
look for
using
the
scaffolding from
landmarks
the
and then go
inside.
left and look for the
People were
runway.
afraid that it was
So
gonna
they had this
collapse.
giant
After 150
canvas in the
years,
roof of the
there have been
tabernacle,
no
and the city
structural
was like,
issues
yeah,
whatsoever.
absolutely, why not?
In fact, in the
There was
Who gets to
another,
volunteer to go paint
there
that?
used to be painted directions to the
I'm
Salt
not
Lake
sure.
Airport on the roof.
There's
I'll pull up
another
the picture of the roof,
really
but I'm
cool
guessing it was
story
like,
that
airplanes
you
go
can
that way,
find
angels
in
go
our
that way.
video. where we talk
Probably.
about how at one point the
So a lot
country's
of people don't
largest
realize that
American
to come into the
flag
tabernacle, you
lined
don't
the
need a
entire
recommend,
roof
you don't need an
inside the
invitation,
tabernacle.
You don't even have to be a
Inside,
member
like
of
Inside.
the church.
up
It's
above,
open
like
every
looking
day,
up,
Monday
and it
through
was draped
Saturday.
up
Yeah.
there.
And it
check
was
it
the
out.
same flag that they had draped across
So to
the
cut down on
outside of the
costs
Salt
when
Lake
they were
City
building the
Temple.
tabernacle, they used all
At one
local
point
materials, which is
in, I want to
mostly
say
pine,
the
which doesn't
the
have
late
this
1800s, early
wood grain
1900s.
that you're seeing
I'd
throughout
have
the
to go look that
building.
up for
So
sure.
they
but
would
it was
go
this
through and
giant
hand paint
flag
wood grain
that is
on all
still
benches
it's
and on
now
the decor.
kept
And
under
that's also these
under
marble
lock and key at
pillars.
the Salt Lake City Archives.
And
but
by marble pillars,
it's
I mean
an enormous flag,
they're
and
actually
it
made of
lined
wood.
the entire roof
It's
of the
painted on
structure
them.
inside the tabernacle. It's really cool to see.
Very, very cool, John. I love hearing
In fact,
about
the
this.
only thing they had to bring in
what
from
other
out of
cool
state
stuff
was the
in
glass.
Utah segments
Also the nails,
have you
but-
been doing, and what else would you like to draw people's attention to?
You know, so if you go and you look at the videos, we've done like 70 of these over the last 4 years.
Yeah.
We go inside the Walker Bank building. We talk about how the Walker Bank sign in Salt Lake City used to be the weather forecaster for the whole city before the days of TV. People would look to see what color the sign was, if it was blue, if it was blinking, if it was red.
I still look for it.
Right? Every morning I look at
Yep.
that coming in. So we talk about that, and we actually got to go and turn the original switch on the sign. That's in one of the episodes. And then another one of my favorite episodes, it's a 2-part episode where we go out to the Wendover Airfield, which was actually where they built a lot of the components for the first atomic bomb.
Wow.
So a lot of that stuff still out there. History that you can look, see, touch, and even smell.
Let me ask you this: is there something that you would still like to do? I know you've done 70 of these, and I want to pitch to that. We have all of John's cool stuff in Utah segments online and on the KSL Plus app. So if you are out and you want to open up that app, you can literally watch all of his stories. They're all labeled there. If there's something that interests you, click on that. You're going to be entertained. You're going to learn, which is what I love the most about this, is I learn Utah's history. But John, is there somewhere that is like the sacred cow that you want to get into or see or tell or talk about?
There is a spot that I've been trying to get into for years, and I've been so far unable to get access.
What is
it's the Warm Springs Pool.
Where's that?
It's the country's first indoor pool. It's actually just up the street from us on 600 North. And it was an indoor pool fed from a natural spring.
Is it that one at the top of what is the building?
Used to be the Children's Museum before the Gateway was here.
Is there anything there now?
So the building is abandoned.
Oh, that's what I thought.
And considered unsafe, but they are renovating
But I'll
it.
go in.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I'm a firefighter. I know how to go in old buildings. I even offered to put on my own hazmat suit, and they were like, "Nope."
So is it still, the spring is still there?
The spring is still there. The building is still there. And believe it or not, when the Children's Museum closed in the year 2000 before it moved to the Gateway Mall, all of the exhibits are still in there as like this time capsule from 25 years ago. I really want to go in and see it firsthand.
Who owns it?
But it's owned by the city.
Salt Lake City, come on.
I've tried bribing people. I have tried begging people. I've tried lying to people.
We gotta know somebody who's willing to get you in
tried
there.
everything, but one day I'm going to get in there and I'm going to show everybody what it looks like inside.
Let me ask you this: why that? Why is that the top of your list?
It's just one of those things that just fascinates me. I love the idea of just abandoned buildings. For some reason, I've always been fascinated with, old buildings and old malls and stuff that just people leave behind for whatever reason.
And to find out why. What is the history and why did they leave it?
Yeah. And then you dig a little deeper and you find that this building has this whole unique history all its own. And there's even the Warm Springs Alliance, a whole group of people that live here in Utah that are trying to save it as a national landmark. So
one of those people, they've got to get you in.
Right? I would certainly think so, but not yet, but we're still working on it.
Okay. All right. If somebody knows how to get Jon Smith into that building.
The Warm Springs building. Get me in there.
He wants to get in there and he wants to check it out. All right, Jon Smith, I already pitched to the KSL Plus app where all of your stories of cool stuff in Utah are streaming right now. Where else can they watch all of these?
The Arrow app is always a great place for 103.5 The Arrow. You can find us on Facebook and YouTube as well. If you just Google cool stuff in Utah, all of the episodes will pop right up. You can spend all day learning about crazy Utah history.
I'm really hoping that Utah teachers are seeing this, that teach Utah history, and that they'll be showing these in their classrooms. Because I think if you're a student, these are entertaining to watch. John, you do this segment, but what is your full-time job? Where are you? When can people hear you and listen to your crazy stories?
Thanks for the free plug. Yeah, right. Monday through Friday, from 6 until 11 on Utah's classic rock, 103.5 The Arrow. Smith and Sam in the morning.
I love it. And tell Sam we love her, we miss her, we hope to have her on the show sometime. Talk about her role in all of this,
Right.
because she has to put up with your shenanigans.
Yeah, and she's actually behind the scenes. She's the one that helps me set up all the locations.
She keeps John in line.
And then usually, and this is one of the behind the scenes things, so we always get people that want to come on up and talk on camera.
Yeah.
And so she kind of wrangles them off to the side and asks them questions so that I can go and sneak into stuff while she's
so funny.
she's the
She runs
distraction.
interference. She's
Yeah,
your wingman.
Totally.
Your wingwoman. All right, Jon Smith. Sam, thank you again for joining us on a Friday. We love this. We love to kick off a weekend with something fun, something entertaining that folks can enjoy. Maybe get an idea. Maybe they want to go visit that spot and check out some of the cool history as well.
Absolutely.
And this was the Salt Lake Tabernacle. So everyone have a great afternoon or great morning. What are we? It's only
even know what time it is.
10:48.
It's been a full
It's
day.
going to be a long Friday.
It's Friday though, right?
It
So we're
is
good.
Friday. All right, John. Thanks so much. We'll see you over on the Arrow.
Thanks, Shara Park.